Morningstar says having more bonds allows you to spend more money in retirement. I'm just going off what Morningstar says, so don't shoot me the messenger. I'm just telling you what Morningstar says. How dare you, Josh? Bonds are horrible, don't you know? So Morningstar had this study, their 2025 safe withdrawal rate projection study that they came up with that I like. I don't agree with the whole thing, of course. There's some things I take issue with, like the whole thing, but still I thought it very interesting. And they break down, I'm going to the airport if you want to know where I'm going. The thing about living in Atlanta is I find myself as a taxi. How many times I go to the airport? A lot of times going to the airport. You know, funny thing is, back in the old days, we couldn't afford to fly, dude. Most of you all know what I'm talking about. Back in the old days, you just couldn't hop on a plane, man. It's crazy. I mean, it's a big production to get on an airplane in the old days. So when people say, oh, things are so much worse now, I'm like, man, you don't know what you're talking about, dude. I'm sorry. Things are so much better now. Anyway, so go back to the Morningstar study. So what they do is they break it out into 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, and 40-year increments in terms of how long your retirement is. They say, okay, if you retire for these years before you died, essentially, how much could you spend with a 90% probability of success? And then they break it down in terms of stocks versus bonds. So you go 100% stocks all the way down to 0% stocks, 100% bonds. So you go basically, I think it's 100 to 0, 80, 20, 60, 40, 40, 60, 20, 80, and to 0, 10, or 0, 100. And it's very interesting. Every single time, except like 2 out of, we got, I don't know how many, we got 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40. We got 7 columns. And then, I don't know, 6, 7 rows. So I guess that's 42 examples, in terms of stock to bond ratio over longevity of portfolio, all with a 90% success rate. And they're using their assumed rates of return. And this is where I take issue with that. I say, I don't get how you're getting these low safe withdrawal rates and these pretty significant rates of return, especially the low inflation. It doesn't make sense to me, but be that as it may. So they use all these numbers, and they're basically using a Monte Carlo, and they're saying, what's your safe withdrawal rate? And every single time, except for like 2, which were like the 10 to 15 year time frames, every single time having more bonds allowed you to have a higher safe withdrawal rate than stocks. Every single time. And sometimes significantly. The sweet spot was about 40 to 60, actually. 40% stocks, 60% bonds, i.e. the Wellesley Income Fund. Isn't that very interesting? So, who knows? Morningstar could be wrong. Vanguard has been significantly wrong for many years in terms of their expected rates of return, what's called capital markets assumption, your CMAs. Vanguard, as I have, had very discounted earnings, and as such, our CMAs for stocks have been quite low relative to what stocks actually did. All right, so Vanguard is what are you doing, buddy? Amazon drivers and your stupid EVs. Oh boy, I'm behind. Every single time I go to the airport, I get behind an Amazon guy, and every single time he goes. But anyway, so Morningstar, their capital markets assumption, I think for stocks it was 8.5%. Yeah, I think it was 8.5%. I think for large caps. I want to say 10.5% for small caps. That's not a very low capital markets assumption, assumed rate of return for stocks. It's just not. I think it's roughly 8.5% for large and 10.5% for a small cap. That's a pretty significant high assumptions for stocks. My capital markets assumptions in Right Capital are well below that. The most you're going to get for stocks is 6%. And then Morningstar is only using basically a 2.5% inflation, where I'm using a 3% inflation. So essentially, if you had 100% stocks, you'd have a 3% real return, your return minus your inflation. Where Morningstar, 100% stocks, dude, what are you doing, man? Why are you going so slow? With them 100% stocks and their inflation, you have about a 7% real rate of return. So that's, and they're still coming up with a safe withdrawal rate for a 30-year retirement with a 60-40 portfolio of 3.7. That doesn't make any sense to me at all. I don't get how you got a real rate of return of basically 7%. I guess that's 100% stocks, but it doesn't matter, because if you had 100% stocks, your safe withdrawal rate is even less than 3.7. I don't get how you have a real rate of return of basically 7%, a safe withdrawal rate for 30 years of only 3, but I think that for 100% stocks, like 3.4. That doesn't make any sense at all to me at all. So I don't get how they're running those numbers at all. I mean, I don't know that, what, 30% standard deviations or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, so what they're saying, without saying it, because what I have to do, and my job is to say it for you, because sometimes the financial media doesn't, I don't know why they just can't come out with it. They're saying bonds give you a higher safe withdrawal rate than stocks, which means bonds give you the ability to spend more money in retirement than stocks. It's just a fact. And again, their sweet spot's about 30 to 40% stocks, 60 to 70% bonds. And you keep going up that ladder, more and more stocks, you have a less ideal safe withdrawal rate. I'm just telling you what it is, man. Now you can tell me to go pound sand, whatever. I'm not saying you. Wellesley, Morningstar should come out and say it. Wellesley is their best fund. That's what they should come out and say. They won't, but that's what they should relative to their safe withdrawal projections. All right, love your thoughts. God bless, and we'll see you at the Atlanta airport, where I go. Seems like every day. God bless.